What's going on, everybody? Hope you are going good. First of all, before we start, please hit subscribe. Please share this with your friends. This podcast only carries on by people subscribing and sharing it and listening and downloading. Also, I have started a little community where any of you can join and kind of have conversations. It's based on Discord, but podcast discussions, show discussions, like anything you want to talk about, really, all things related to me and anything else, music, all of that. So you can get that at willclarke.club. So yeah, go sign up there. So this week on the podcast is the one and only Alan T. It's really hard to describe who Alan is in words without hearing him, without seeing him. He is an absolute gem of a human being and has been in the scene for God knows how many years. He has had successes with multiple records over the years with him, and he is a fashion icon. He is an architect. He's done absolutely everything and is also one of the most creative people, has probably the best wardrobe I've ever seen in the world. He has some amazing stories, and this podcast was an eye-opener for me. I absolutely loved it. I also remixed his record with Nicole Mudabar, The Volume. He's one of the kindest human beings I've met as well. So without further ado, Alan T. Alan T, how are you, sir?
I'm wonderful now that I'm with you.
I know, right?
Finally.
Thank you.
I feel like CC Pennis in here with you.
Thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh my God, it's my pleasure. This is my most. This was my most anticipated thing of the week. I was hiding from everything else, fireworks, and I didn't hear any fireworks last night.
No, did you pass out?
Well, I live in a cement loft, so it's like. But I went down to the jacuzzi. I didn't hear anything. Usually the dogs are barking. Where are you?
I'm in the UK at the moment. I'm in the UK.
You.
Yeah.
I should have prepped some crumpets. I have crumpets.
My mum.
I
just went to my mum's house and
you know what I do to get them?
And she was eating crumpets just a minute ago.
So, yeah. There's something about them. When I went to school in London in 88 to 90, I just got addicted to them. That and that cream you guys make, that quick cream.
Clotted cream?
Oh, so good.
Yeah, you don't get clotted cream in America, do you?
No. We have flan here. The Cubans make flan, and the tapioca is more like a gringo thing.
Yeah.
I love living in London.
Yeah, what were you doing? Tell me about that.
88, I got there. It was a lot. I was studying. I went to study with the professors Nigel Coates and Zaha Hadid, recently passed. Pretty prominent people. It was 88, so it was like the minute I got there, Acid House had just hit. I was like in hog heaven. I would go to heaven, literally go to heaven.
Yeah.
Just absorb as much as I could, especially the cassettes. I still have all the cassettes. I could show them to you from Camden, and I met a lot of people. Sade was at the Royal Academy, right? Yeah.
Wow.
And Mark Almond was a friend of mine, and Andy Bell, that whole little synth pop.
Yeah.
Of course, space is calling. Disconnect. They never call ever. Bye. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I took very advantage of it. I went to the Cotswolds. I did Kent. I did all of it. Glasgow for all the Macintosh. Yeah. I'm very into all that, like architecture.
So stuff. What were you doing in, like, what made you move to England to study? Like, what were you studying?
It was just an exchange program. I went to University of Miami, 5-year program. I even have my diploma right here, my 5-year program. This I had to pretty much die for. I didn't sleep. I listened to like every single new wave disco cassette. I had cassettes piled up like a mountain.
Yeah.
Because you drop for hours on end, as you know. But our program, we did Italy in the summer, Rome in the summer, and then it was full year in London.
But what were you studying?
Architecture.
Architecture.
The AA is a very tough school. I don't know if you know about it. It's like the oldest architectural institution in the world. It's in Bedford Square,
Okay.
right near the British Museum, right across from the Johnstone Museum, like diagonal.
Yeah.
That's my favorite place in London, by the way, Johnstone.
So
But
were you? Was that the goal to become an architect?
well, I still do. I mean, look at this. Like, I am very much an architect. Everything I do has architecture in it. I mean, I'm designing a pair of shoes.
Wow.
Many pairs of shoes for clients. I have nothing but commissions, art, fashion. It's like I'm a true grand tour, as the English would say, Renaissance person. I think everything is influenced by architecture. It's not that, I mean, I practiced for a very long time on my own, and it was very gratifying, but I was in Italy. So Italy, the craft is excellent.
Yeah.
And you get spoiled. And I was there for 10 years. I did very, very well, considering you can't get a job in Italy. I mean, the first thing they told me to do, and my partner was a very, very successful surgeon at the time. Well, he still is, but they handed me a set of the last year Encyclopedia Britannica were in production. They handed it to me and said, go door to door. I went door to door in full, go Dolce Gabbana, full Beltrami, you name it. And I actually did it.
Really?
I mean, I graduated from Columbia University after the AA and so I have like 2 degrees.
Wow.
Three
Man.
Actually.
That's amazing.
So Italy's tough. Italy's a tough place, but the program there was wonderful. But it's a very, very tough school. The whole school revolves around a bar. And you do your tutorials at the bar, and the teachers get sloshed.
Yeah.
And I was with Nigel Coates, who did the NATO group, and Malcolm McLaren was involved in the group, Vivian Westwood. So it was fashion, music, art. It was like nothing for people to walk in from, public image, what have you, all that.
Yeah.
And one of my classmates was in Kissing the Pink, Simon. Remember One Step?
No.
One step away from you, you're too young.
No, I don't know that record.
It was a big record. You're not that. How old are you?
33.
Oh yeah, you're chicken. But I mean, you miss all the good stuff. Like I tell these young kids, it's like these young kids just want to hear stories. It's like I'm like, guys, it's like I'm sorry that you don't have what we have. I mean, everything is relying on each other. So it's it's the circle of life. The music is not as good as fashion isn't, and food and all of it. You know how it is.
Well, I'm really excited about this conversation because I know realistically nothing about you. If I'm totally honest, I know bits about you, and I've obviously I've met you a few times, and I remixed your record with Nicole.
You did a very good job. I was with Super Shumba with Tom Stephan last night. He played on night before last, and he stayed for the week. He's gonna come over in a little bit. He is in love with that mix, and he's a sticker. And even Danny likes it. He hates everything.
Yeah, and
you don't know, he's been my best friend for I don't know how many years, but it's like, dude, it's like, oh, and I worked at the record store volunteer just to be because I was running my dad's piano company at the time and in school. But the record store that pretty much gave birth to a lot of these heads, when Winter Music Conference was a conference.
Yeah.
And it was the store was 24/7, 365 days a year, run it was like the Twisted, Tribal, Forensic, Product 19, you name it. I mean, all the labels. And Todd Saunders got everything first, and he was like the mother hen. And Danny was his best friend. And Danny would be there 24 hours just listening to white labels. It was insane. I was like, you were here all night, sober, doing that? I was like, wow. With a little ink pen, people make different insignias on the white labels, but I was the white label king. I love white labels. Yeah. But it was like the place where you got the test press, that.
Totally.
That led to you be the only one with the record. And then the war, in America at the time, they loved to create a war over it. And I just was always Switzerland. I never got on to the Peter Rolf or because they're all my good friends. I mean, given that, I was in that context. And later on, I mean, even today, I mean, I'll work with one person from a different camp, and the next person, and that's the way it's been all throughout.
I miss
Not
that.
going to side with somebody because they're not on good terms with the DJs. I mean, I don't have that much room to work. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Otherwise,
Yeah. I miss that whole.
I mean, I did a lot of records, a lot.
Yeah.
My discography. I did. The thing about my stuff was that it was domestic originally, and then all the European labels, Tiki, all that stuff. A lot of the big European labels were. This is my first record ever. They heard my voice on an answering machine, and it was a remix of Jody Watley.
Yep. Wow.
And they used me, and then they brought me in the studio, and from that, they made 200 records.
What was it? What was the record called for people that can't see?
The first one?
Yeah.
Come and Get It. It was Circuit Boy was Mike the Mooch Moochie. He was very, very big in the filtered house scene, what have you. He was amazing. He's a very difficult individual. I don't mind saying that publicly, but because he's pretty much non-visible. But an ace in the studio.
Yeah.
Ace. I mean, he brought me to Fruitation because I knew all these famous DJs. I was doing the parties at Groove Jet. I knew the guys from Global Underground, Seven Fisher, John did, back then, you're talking like late 90s, mid 90s actually.
So I want to go back to the beginning.
Sure.
I really want to get to, I really want people to kind of know everything about you, or as much as possible that you're willing to share. Well, let's go right back to the beginning and where did it all start for you?
Where was I born?
Where were you born?
I was born, I'm a native Miamian. I just actually moved to this loft. We had the house was in my family for 72 years. They bought it in 1950. And it was great. My dad always had a principle of living here at work. And my dad was from Connecticut. My mom was from the Bronx. We're of Northern Italian descent, above Torino, Assi, which is Piemonte.
Yeah.
Like a lot different than Naples. It's not like, red sauce. It's a different, well, they do have it, but it's like, more like creams and what have you. And they say it's a little bit more refined. I hate to get into that war. North and south of every country is always at war.
Yeah.
It's a lot more tame. The people are a lot more docile. I mean, you're not going to get that Neapolitan, that madness in Northern Italy. That pretty much traveling. And all four of my grandparents are from the same town, and they met in New York.
Okay.
Isn't that weird? And my grandmother came over at 9. She had 13 kids. The whole, war, post-war, during war, what have you. My mom is a Phi Beta Kappa graduate. My grandmother did very, very well because she was a sewer, a couture sewer.
Yeah.
In Italy back then, they showed you a real hoe, not a VIP girl, or a needle and thread.
Yeah.
My grandmother chose needle and thread. My other grandmother chose the hoe, but she was the one that made all the mat. They all cooked insane. The Italians cook.
Yeah, of course.
So they all met here in New York, pretty much. And my mom's side, my paternal grandfather was head maitre at the Pierre Hotel in Manhattan. That job back then required 7 languages. It wasn't like you just treated everybody like a slouch or what have you, or didn't understand the language. You spoke the language. It was when true VIP was VIP. My grandmother was a ran a couturier, and she was insane. I mean, she died very, very successful. She came over 9 cents. I mean,
wow,
it's pretty insane. My mom was Phi Beta Kappa from Hunter Fordham. My dad was from Connecticut, so he studied piano. My dad was a concert pianist.
Yeah.
At 17, he was playing the Metropolitan Opera. He was a Yale student. He went to Yale because he was in New Haven.
Wow.
And he was an insane entrepreneur. He was doing everything to get money. He figured out Chanel had this perfume with a flower in a pond near his house, and he sold them. He was making bank at 9 years old. He was making $1,000 a week. My grandmother was like, what the hell? And then my grandfather made accordions and had a bakery. But he was a real artisan. His accordions are the best accordions in the world. Like the Stradivarius violin.
Yeah.
He was the type that made his own wine, went to the basement, listened to the music, got into the field, the spirit, and would start cutting up precious furniture to make his accordions. without saying anything. He was, a real artist. But he would probably be smashed when he did it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. He was pretty lit. I mean, you make your own wine. Here, try this one. And by the time you were done, my sister said she used to be wasted as a baby. They moved. My dad rounded up the troops and said, "Let's go to Florida. This winter sucks." They came here in 1950, bought a house cash, waterfront home. My dad did pretty well in New Haven because the Polish and the Italians, he ran a piano and accordion school. And I'll send you a picture, 900 kids would go there to study. I mean, it was like this pyramid of kids. You think that your dance floor is packed. You should see what the audience looked like. It was insane because all the parents want them. It's like cotillion. It's an ethnic thing. So, and he had the best one and he was good. So he had 2 Steinway Bs in his house. My grandparents bought them. Those are 12 feet.
Yeah, they're massive.
So, I mean, and he practiced like 11 hours a day. Imagine how annoying that was. Oof. Oh my God. But he never played piano. He never brought work home. He became very much about business, but he was like really up there. He was the head of Hammond and organ, which is like what you hear in all those, like, not all the soulful house that we like.
Yeah.
All the churches, all the black churches have to have the organ, B3. And Michael Jackson was a client of his. Michael Jackson would come into the store. I only deal with Mr. Victor. He had a lot of celebrities, because Miami back then was like, the heyday. I mean, Miami Beach, Frank Sinatra, I would go to the Florida room where Liv is right now.
Yeah.
We go to the Florida room and see the Brat Pack.
Yeah.
I would see everybody. I mean, my dad would like fraternize with them, and other friends of mine knew them as well. Like, they had after hours as well,
Of course.
Like they would go from the beach to the Overtown near Space.
Yeah.
And Belle Barth, she was a Bronx mixed race comedian, and she had a mouth. I bought some of her records at a thrift shop because I like the title. My next story is going to be a little risque, and it may be by the record. And my mom's like, "What the hell are you doing with the Belle Barth record? She has a mouth like a sewer." We love her. The Italian, the Jews and the Italians are the same. They like vulgarity, in comedy. Back then, anyway. We're talking about now. But they would go and party, Dean Moore, all those guys, what we do is nothing new, that.
Of course, yeah.
So my dad didn't like the night, so he would play for many of those big artists. I mean, he was on tour also with, I bought a photograph, I believe, of his best friend. All that art, this was a store, it was in the design district.
You have to lift it up a little higher. Yeah, there you go.
He owned all 4 corners. This is how it started.
Okay.
He became, it was like they sold, refinished, rebuilt. Yeah. All 4 corners were taken over at the end.
Yeah.
This was him. He used to go on tour. He was really good looking, but his best friend was Cesar Romero. I don't know if you know who he is.
No.
He was the first Joker on Batman.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he's the illegitimate grandson of Jose Marti. Cubans don't even know this because Marti got him, he was probably with some hoe, got him out of the country, and he was homosexual, but he didn't come out until like way late. He was on the Golden Girls too, an extra towards the end. But he did his own makeup. He designed his own. The Joker, him as a Joker. That's why I don't digest anybody else. Also, he's very good looking. I told my dad all the time, "Dang, Dad, if I was alive, I would have been like on the sidelines." Good looking fella. But they were best friends. My parents were very, very accepting. They always nurtured.
Yeah.
And because I was born this way. The way I am now is the way I was born. I mean, I have drawings when I was 7. I was very prolific when I was a kid. Music was always like, my mom had Sherilyn, all that, my sister was a Sarah Lawrence student. My sister was my best friend. She was pretty much like my mom because my parents kind of like, with five kids, got kind of old after a while. And then my little brother was a lot of trouble and there was a big gap. And I took to my older sister.
Yeah.
She left to go to college and never came back. She couldn't stand the Florida weather because she was born in New Haven.
Okay.
So I was born here and my other little brother was born here. And my older brother was born in New York. So there's 2 and 2.
A lot of you.
And my other sister is born here. My older sister went to Sarah Lawrence. At the time, Sarah Lawrence in Bronxville, New York, right outside Manhattan.
Yeah.
She was already going to see Dustin Hoffman and on Dirty Back Roads here, things that are incorporated now that were like the Boondocks, and she would like, know every actor. She went to buy Little Richard across town on the bus. I mean, she knew about everything. Sonny and Cher, this and that. Beatles. She was at the what was it building that they just knocked down? Whatever it's called. They did their first U.S. tour. What was it called? I'm drawing a blank. They just knocked it down, by the way. But she was there in the front. Like she knew who was hot. Sonny and Cher. Yeah. Her school, Sarah Lawrence. She got into every single school, not scholarship, but to Sarah Lawrence. But Radcliffe. The whole like American thing. But she wasn't one of those. She wasn't like a snooty sorority girl. She was like a real actress. Yeah. She's so learned. She knows about everything. She's the one who like got me into like everything. Jackie Moore, all the Phyllis Hyman, all that. She knows about everything. You talk about something with her, whether it's a 10-year-old or a 30-year-old, she'll know about it.
Amazing.
When she went to school, she had Yoko Ono, Brian De Palma, Luciano Pavarotti, Paul Jabbar, who did So Many Men, It's Raining Men. Yeah. He did Honeymoon in Puerto Rico. Paul Jabbar did a lot of that disco stuff. Mm-hmm. Paul Schaefer, Waylon Flowers, who did the ventriloquism. He had that doll, Madam. It was a very, very camp thing. It was just insane. And she then, as a student, she joined La Mama, which is a theater company that still exists. It toured the whole entire world. It's one of the hottest theater companies in the world. She was taken as a student, but that school was, let me tell you something. I went to that school as a kid. I think I was like around 6. And I walked into cabaret being performed in the pub in a blizzard. It's a girls' school. There were so many queens in that fucking place. It was the most insane. I mean, I looked at my mom and went, everybody here is gay. Yeah. I was a kid, you know what I'm saying? they were, even back then, those queens were like, they didn't play, those theater queens were no joke. Talent from they all dropped one by one, and with HIV, like all my friends as well. Yeah. A lot of our friends. But I'll never forget that moment in the performance of Cabaret. They were hanging from the rafters, doing the Joel Grey parts, doing the Liza Minnelli part. It was insane. She stayed in New York. She toured the world a lot with La Mama, Berlin, all the big ports of like you do, all the big ports of entertainment. And she off Broadway. Then she hooked up with Mike Nichols, did Regarding Henry. She did a lot of parts in movies. She was more of a theater person now. Everybody in her school was her roommate's father was the Air Tay gallerist. Yeah. Red Zinger T, her other roommate, that's the name of her roommate, Zinger. T was invented for her. Her other friend was Breakstone. There was free cottage cheese, 24 hours. This school was like next level. Now it's like millions. Now they have a lot of scandals and stuff, but back then it was like Tova Fellowshoot. She had a lot of Robin Gibbons, a lot of idiots went there too, though. Subsequently. But when she was there, it was like everybody, the creme de la creme.
Amazing.
It's really insane. But she was close to New York. She would go to New York in 20 minutes. So she loved it. She was in theater. So she moved to Manhattan, and then she's so brilliant that she got incredible jobs. High-paying jobs doing her craft. She worked at Reuter and Finn across the street from Fiorucci. So that was I would be at Fiorucci with my hook rug on 63rd and Lex, I think it was, between Lex and 3rd. Mm-hmm. And Fiorucci was like Andy Warhol, Divine, Joey Arias, Klaus Nomi. Do you know who Klaus Nomi is?
No.
Oh, look him up. He was insane. He was a pastry chef from Austria, but
Klaus
the guy
Nomi
was another planet, and he believed it, and he acted it, but he was very much a pastry chef. He was I think it was from Austria. I'm pretty sure it was Austrian, German probably.
German.
Yeah. But his lover was Joey Arias for many, many years. Klaus was a genius. He would be in the subways singing. He did opera punk.
Yeah.
He was always performing. He suits made out of metal.
Countertenor.
That was insane. He's a huge cult figure in the RuPaul scenes and stuff like that. Like Leigh Bowery is.
Yeah. Damn, he died young. He died young.
Yeah, he did. A lot of them did. All the most talented ones went. Talent, money didn't matter with HIV. It was just, it spread. And I lost everybody except for like 5 people.
Really?
Yeah.
And this was during the 80s?
It was the founder of Space, I should say, not the owner.
Yeah.
The original founder, who was a childhood friend of mine. We used to go to the Paradise Garage of Miami, which was called Salvation. I think it was better than Paradise Garage myself, but I'm not going to get into that argument with people because I love labels. But I have all the cassettes right over there. I can show you. I listen to nothing but cassettes. Hold on.
I love this conversation already.
This is from Sound Factory Bar. David Lozada, who was a very good friend of Junior Vasquez.
Yeah.
Jojo Odyssey. I have David DePino. Red Zone. From the Red Zone. You've heard about that.
Yeah.
The Red Zone mixes from David Morales.
Yeah.
Everywhere I went, I got a cassette. It was like, I would have them in my back pocket. In Europe, they sell them, the 30-minute ones. I have all my Italo, because I traveled a lot. My parents always said to me, before you commit to architecture, because I was also like, on the party set, I went to New York. I was like going to audio engineering school. I turned out to be a model, living with famous supermodels. I went out. We went out 7 nights a week to like 10 clubs a night in Manhattan. We started at 9 o'clock at night, fully done in Yamamoto, Kansai, Parachute, what have you. It was insane. Manhattan was insane. I can't even tell you. And it would be like a hustler bar, the Anvil. After hours had sand on the floor and everybody was having sex. Crisco Disco was like Pat Maury, a socialite who was like hosting a VIP room. It was like Patty Hanson. I would open the urinal. Patty Hanson would be doing a bump. Jerry Hall would be doing a bump. Bianca Jack. Everybody. But that was, we would go to Red Parrot. I mean, I get a blowjob from Calvin Klein. It's just like crazy. I mean, it's the most insane. I mean, you have to see the way I look. Can I take a picture?
Yeah, I need to see young Alan.
Hold on, 2 seconds.
Comedy gold. Also, for anybody,
I was no fucking joke.
For anybody listening, you should.
I mean, I met my lover on at the beach in Rome the first day.
Damn, son, you were beautiful. Well, you still are.
I'll take your boyfriend.
Jeez, man.
So this is an Armani ad test. It was Aldo Falai, a very famous Italian photographer. But I mean, like the model thing, I would like go out like to 10 clubs and then go to a modeling gig. It was like, girl, who does? I mean, fresh in the daisy. I mean, I wasn't doing that much. I mean, we dabbled in shit. I mean, I wasn't like Sister Too tall. I wasn't like my friends who were like, it was like looks and stuff like that. And I didn't really partake in the sex that much. I did, but not like my friends did. I mean, people were like, I went to the opening of, I went to the launch of the Walk Tonight album, Scat Brothers.
Yeah.
Huge hipsters love that record. That was like a fisting club, and it was like, wow. There's a movie now called Stroll that's all about that meatpacking district. Meatpacking district was insane, dude. You have no idea.
When you were I
was going out at like 13.
So yeah, okay. So we're talking like mid 80s.
Miami took the whole disco concept better than anybody because they had like that. It was a huge influx of Latin, but they could cha-cha here. I mean, Miami was redneck.
Yeah.
I mean, you've probably heard about Hialeah. My dad was the first store there. Hialeah, my dad, when he put his store, now it's nothing but Cuban, but it was all rednecks. I remember we had visitation on Saturdays and we'd go there. And it was redneck. Miami was cracker.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, they came here, they fell off of a turnip truck, and thank God for the Latins, because otherwise.
So when did that start changing? That
was, you should probably watch a movie called Last Resort. It's insane.
Okay.
I knew the guy who died. They found his, as a kid, he always thought he should be documenting all these like fierce ethnic, like Russian, German, Jewish people, at the Elks Club, and they would be done up. You think the kids party on the beach? Well, we had fun on the beach, let me tell you. Now it's a mess, but those elders had a great time.
Yeah.
But as time went on, the movie is great. It documents it all very, step by step. He was like, I need to document this. As a kid, he was like, we need to document this. Him and a friend of his documented it. He got killed in a crack deal or a cocaine deal or something. And his storage was up for auction, and thank God they got the footage, because he was taking pictures as a kid. The pictures are insane. Women with the beehive hairdos and Yeah.
So
You
did
know how it
this
is.
did this came out in 2018?
That was like recent, but he died a long time ago. He died over at the Charter Club over on 36th Street, Biscayne.
Kareem, right?
Like his partner, like it was like weird. It was like I got this like locker and it has all the negatives of stuff that you guys were shooting. It's like really weird. It was like that's what we've been looking for.
Yeah.
And they were able to do it. It's really a beautiful movie. It's sad because my grandmother was one of those snowbirds. The minute it got hot here, like early May, she was on the train to Connecticut when she retired. She lived on South Beach. She lived right in front of where Story is. I remember the procession of the ravioli. Now the beach was like very, very like ethnic, pretty much. Yeah. Like different. They're mostly from New York. Brooklyn. Like the Russian. Polish, Italian. But the beach was it was very, very manageable. Miami was very manageable. It's not like it is. I mean, this whole thing now, I don't know what the fuck to think. It's like, it was very like manageable. That's the best word I could say.
What was it like growing up though, like in Miami at that time?
Where I grew up, I mean, my parents, they we lived on a waterfront property, huge waterfront property, had 5 boats and a pool. But my parents were like working. I mean, my dad didn't have cell phones or computers, and he had 17 stores in Florida, Florida.
Wow.
And he was going to Japan. He brought Yamaha to this country.
Wow.
Kawai, all those pianos. And he would bring the technicians. Yeah. So he would like deal with all the Japanese. That's not easy. My dad was like a stickler for like precision, and he knew how to have a great time, but you never know it. I mean, he was just like he went to Europe a lot. He believed in travel. My dad was like, the minute he was done with work, there was no discussion about work. But when he worked, it was like 5 a.m. onward. Yeah.
No, I respect that.
I mean, he died. I mean, he was very successful, but he made us work. I mean. Yeah, we paid for our school cash and what have you. It was like stuff like that with the private school. But my sister went to public school. I mean, when we were of age to go to school, it was like early time. It was down here. It's really funky. It's like schools can be really fun. I mean, there's some great ones. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's like but it was great growing up here. My house was right. I mean, I would like sleep on the islands. I had like snapper reefs, stone crab reefs. There's not one fish in that bay. I would go before Batman at like 6 in the morning. It was on 6:30 with a net and no bait, no tackle, nothing. And when Jack were running, they were 3 deep.
Really?
It was like bumper to bumper Jack, and abundant snook, tarpon, sharks. We would catch sharks. I find sneakers in sharks' bellies. I mean, small nurse sharks. I mean, insane. I mean, we built reefs, and it was just like it was so abundant. It was insane, and it's just like there's nothing there now. No, nothing.
Completely.
Biscayne Bay is like, I mean, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Bad. It really is.
It's mad.
I wouldn't say before I left, because I just sold the house 2 years ago. I mean, I was born there, but I lived all over the world, and it was always like home base. But then I went to UM. I had a lover in Coconut Grove when that was hot. Coconut Grove was like Camden on steroids with the Hampstead Heath all in one. But Miami was amazing. Miami was the best. Oh my God, it was great. Oh,
do you still enjoy it?
I love it, but the humidity. It's with this global warming. It's really bad this year. Well, it's bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like winter clothes. I mean, I'm wearing like 7 feet of fabric right now.
Yeah.
I'm just for the you can't wear anything here. It's like I wear like major outfit, looks.
Yeah.
I acclimate myself. I just like I don't drink. I don't. I move around a lot, but it's like the heat is it's gross. I mean,
it is gross.
Better for your skin, they say, but it's like whatever. I don't know.
So I want to talk about your career. I want to go through all the stages in your career and kind of where it went from becoming an architect to all the fashion, all the design.
Right. Okay. So architecture. So I did all that schooling and this and that. I mean, but it was like in school, it was like, it's like Danny said, all the big DJs, Guy Williams, all the big DJs over the world. If you DJ, we wouldn't have a job. Yeah. So it's like, it's one of those situations. I got a Bozak and 1200s from Michael Harris, who was like the Richard Long of Miami. Mm-hmm. He was a big time sound person.
Yeah.
I got all the equipment. The day that I got it, I was already moving into my lover's house at 15. Bam. I mean, I didn't play. I mean, I knew what I wanted.
Yeah.
Back then, the 80s was the 80s.
Yeah, of course.
The hottest guy, successful, this, that. My mom knew, my dad didn't know. It was like, but he was like a great guy. My mom loved him to death. Rest in peace. He passed away. But I mean, when I went to study in Italy, right before London, I met the first day I was in Rome. I went to Valentino's boat and kind of like, and the minute I walked up to that goddamn beach to go on the boat, I met like the one.
Yeah.
So it overlapped for a little bit. It was like a weird thing, It was like, it happens, Italy was just like, Rome was like magical. Oh my God.
I've never been.
It's so fucked up, Italy, but it's the most. I mean, you know somebody at the fucking post office. They don't send, eBay doesn't deliver there, but it's the best country. People look out for your ass. Friends of mine that I had there, and I know a lot of famous people. I mean, a trans young man, he was fluid, I should say. He didn't really do any surgery. He's head of parliament right now.
Yeah. His
thesis in London was hitchhiking on the autostrada with the truckers. And he looked with no makeup or anything. He looked like Sophia Loren. He would walk from my house to the bus stop, and my neighbors were like, "What a beautiful woman! Who is that?" And I'm like, "It's my friend Vladimir. It's a boy." And he was from Southern Italy. He's in Parliament now. Heather Parisi was like, Amanda Lear. I mean, everybody. I knew everybody in Italy. It was just, I always kind of like, I'm with people that are like, you know Amanda Lear's work?
Say that again.
Amanda Lear?
No.
She's like the first, well, she didn't come out as trans. She's not like, out as trans, but she was Dali's lover for many years.
Okay.
She's gorgeous. She did a lot of disco records, Follow Me. I just did a story with one. She did a lot of crap, but she was like a cult figure. She was Dali's lover because she didn't get operated on until like late 90s. My ex was in charge of the surgery. She's on Italian television. She does Berlin jock strap contest. She's sponsored by Beltrami. I mean, she's a toast of the town. Paco Rabanne.
Yeah.
Dali's, she went out with Brian Ferry. Wow. She went with Mick Jagger. I mean, she's done them all.
Yeah.
But she was like, she's amazing. She's like the mentor of that. And I always kind of like, frequented people that were like happening. And my best friend was the owner of a jean company, thank God, because he was my only salvation, because Italy can get a little bit, like orthogonal, and they're like, and meanwhile, they're picking up transgender. I mean, my transgender friend, he worked the street. Most trans people work the street in the 80s. And he was like, even when he was, doing well, like acting, this and that, we started Buca Cecina in Rome. I don't even know what that party is. Way back, him and I started at the meat market. Now it's a huge party. But he didn't stop hooking because it's like the most beautiful men. And they're like, straight, paying. I said, hello, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
And it's like they're all married. It's like the whole Catholic. Italy's twisted. Yeah. We did some parties right next to the Vatican for our Buca Cecina in Castello. This place, it was like I guess a movie theater. But there's passages from the Vatican, right? For the Castel Sant'Angelo, that whole part of the city off the other side of Tavere and San Pietro is like underground.
Yeah.
I would go to the dark room and be like, working in the remaining room, I'm like, how do all these priests get in here? How the fuck what the fuck is going on? It's just like, it's understood. It's like, it's like the Cubans have a thing too. It's like they have a word called bugaron. That's understood that a man will accept. It's like what Diplo just came out and outed himself when he said, "Oh, I've had a couple of people suck my." I'm like, yeah. It's like, there's terms for that in other languages. You know what I mean? Like Cubans, it's understood that they'll receive and they're not considered gay. It's like, all right, fine.
Just accepted.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, though, right?
I mean, the English are pretty. I mean, they have a lot of. You guys have a lot of funky customs, like the dirty socks in prep school, the lard on the table, on the Marmite. I couldn't do the Marmite. Marmite it's so. I mean,
Marmite's amazing.
I used to have prisoner subblock H parties at my house.
You used to have what?
Prisoner subblock H. It's an Australian show.
Okay.
It's like the worst acting you've ever seen. You know how you guys have the worst, like EastEnders on. I love it. I love all of it. Little Britain, all that. I just love Benny Hill. I've always liked that. Like, I love the English. I love English customers. I like the mangledness. I like they never say no to anything. It's like that whole hacienda. I mean, I know I was at Heaven every Friday night with Mark Allman. We used to hang out.
Yeah.
It was like we'd go there. It was like Jack tracks like I heard in Chicago when I went to see Frankie. It was wow.
Yeah.
You guys were better at it than them. I have cassettes for my pirate radio I have to find for you. I have a ton of them.
Wow.
When they were playing like tribal records on the phone into the speaker, it was like French Kiss was huge. I remember that was like the most French Kiss and like all the DJ Pierre stuff. I used to go to Black Market and I would be like, oh, I got such good records there. And nobody knew the titles were except me. It was like, I didn't even know the title. I would just sing them perfectly. I'd be like, woo, woo, woo. It's a dog barking. It was like, I knew exactly what, there's a lot of good shit then. I mean, even like stuff like Junior did, early Junior, all of them. But I have this one cassette that plays like all the tribal, I record the radio shows.
Yeah.
And they were great. I mean, my God, European radio, I always loved, even the pop. I like the, Jason Donovan. I like the Prisoner used to bring me roses. Top of the Pops. I love all that shit.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
So much good stuff.
In the UK, we're very lucky with radio. Like,
oh no, but you guys in music, you guys. I mean, I've known Boy George for how long? He DJ at the club. He wrote art. He would send me emails like what a fan he was of Danny and I's work. Like, my God, camp vocals, tribal beats. Oh.
Yeah.
When he came to the club, he was like bowing down to me. I went to see him at a First Basel show, and he did all acoustic, like yacht rock.
Wow.
The English know more about they get into that intrinsic faction of the music and the soul. You guys are the best. I always will say it.
I wonder why. I wonder why the Brits are like that.
It's like an intrinsic. You guys are just like you don't leave a stone unturned. It's like maybe it's a nitty bitty thing, like a wee bit of a cream puff. I'm the only gay in the village. Did you watch Little Britain?
Little Britain was fucking amazing.
My God, DJ Python? He looks just like that guy. Oh my God, he comes to play at the club. I'm like, have you ever tell you? He's like, yes. A few people are like, dude, none of these kids know it. Computer says no.
I don't know who DJ Python is.
He's like, it's like like they incorporate reggaeton and like it's like kind of
Jesus Christ, he does look like him, doesn't he?
Right?
Wow.
I had to I was like busy all night, like all morning back from work, sending people links to Little Britain because some of those Little Britons are insane. Like
look at this.
Mommy, I totally.
Damn.
That's what like Tom Jones.
Damn, that is amazing.
I'm from Cardiff.
Yeah, that's the thing. You wouldn't be able to get away with playing Little Britain nowadays on TV.
They don't play anymore.
It wouldn't be allowed.
I'm giving you leg. Oh.
It wouldn't.
Yeah, because like, mommy, I want the double-headed dildo with that. Are you gonna shove it in my hole the same way you did it to daddy? Like some of the times I'd be like, girl. I love the fat lady who roasted, who addicted to tanning and shit.
Yeah,
and that was all him.
Yeah. It's both of them.
But the computer
David
says no. That'd be a great sample, actually.
David
Williams says no.
Yeah.
So funny. The only gay in the village looking for Hazel Dean records. Like, I can't. It's so perfectly on point. In a pleather fucking lederhosen. I mean, really, bitch? It's like the perfect thing. It's so perfect.
England's
and even Benny Hill, that little older man, the one that was like chasing behind him, he was probably some like a pedophile. It's like, in britches. It's like hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
I think England. I never really kind of thought about this, but until my manager said it, he's like, the thing with England, they do very low budget TV. But the reason why it's so good
all
is
this highfalutin shit. At the end of the day, it's like back in the day, American TV was so great.
Yeah,
and it's like now all this production shit. I was just watching. I just started following this Funk. Is it Funk Bucks on Instagram? And I think it's one of Cheryl Lynn's family members. And it was like I just changed my algorithm altogether. I'm so sick of these ball rap, all that, like the idiots that sing the same ass, the same cock, the same tits. I'm like over it. I'm done.
Yeah.
So they played Shake It Up Tonight. It was a video for some of those sites are insane. I mean, I got into the site. It was like I was crying by the end. They like considered Sunday, and they played that How Deep Is Your Love scene with John Travolta. Movies had more stature. The soundtracks and the movies were in competition for greatness. I mean, they're like so great, like each on its own merit.
Yeah.
Soundtrack, movie. It's like, since when does it have to be a bad movie and like no music? It's like, I don't get it.
I know.
Cat People was great. American Gigolo. I mean, all the Georgia Murder, of course. Although Chase, I mean, and Midnight Express. I mean, there's like, I can go on and on. I have more movies. The American Gigolo soundtrack is like the soundtrack of my life.
They just don't make movies. They
don't make anything. It's like,
it's weird.
That's why I live in my museum.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with it. I really don't. I mean, some of these new artists, it's like, I was at the Pool of Tom. It's like one track sounded a little bit like Susanna Vega. Another one sounded a little bit like Vanessa Dow. Another one sounded a little bit like Seal. It's like, it's like insert, bad riff here, insert, stupid percussion here. It's just like, I don't, back in, on 808, they're doing like, I mean, I know a lot of those Chicago guys, Ralphie and Frankie, and all those guys. And they're like, I know people, Alternate even was like using mattresses for acoustics in a bathroom with Teddy Douglas. I mean, the Basement Boys, it's like, the less you have, better. Many a time.
What do you think it is though? Now, do you think it's purely because
I'm rather educated, and I really think it's just a lack. They have. I'm going to use the term of my grandfather. They're full of don't care.
Yeah.
People, I mean, like they just don't give a flying fuck. I mean, Danny's a good friend, and this and that. It's like, he's not like can't shut him out. He did, but that one. I have emails like, oh my God, when he committed to do a remix, it was to be an edit. It turned out to be a remix because he's Italian. So one thing, and then the broccoli wrap leads to this, and then a little lackadaisicalness, and then like the two assistants. He's a stickler for quality. That Brooklyn, Brooklyn, what's it called? The Brooklyn Gypsy. He's had it for 10 years. 10 years. I did a boiler room with him about like 9 years ago.
Yeah.
It's online. And he played a reprise that the Basement Boys had him do for like, he didn't want to do a remix, he just wanted to do a reprise of Tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight, tell them that I want to make the love. It's the most insane masterpiece. He had like Eddie Montoya. He gets like, and he learned how to play a piano. And he's like, it's like insane. It's like, you call the one, when in doubt, call the expert, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like you're on plumbing. My dad used to have a book. People used to come and go, can I get it? Where are your tuning hammers? I want to tune my own piano. My dad used to turn around and get a book and say, here's a book on brain surgery, 10 easy steps. My dad was fierce. I mean, he was like, and he'd be like, you do it in a nice way, but he was like, make sense? Exactly. Schedule $100 tuning, mama. Before you break strings, and it's like who's gonna do their own? It's like you gotta call it expert. Everybody's like DIY. It's like, I believe in hiring everybody.
I agree. I agree with this.
I got into music, I mean, all my outputs and stuff, I commission. I pay for everything. I mean, everything's custom made. Everything's like thought about. It's like there's like a process. There's this or that. But it's like I just create out of like creation for creation's sake. I mean, it's a philanthropic gene that I have, and I have it means to it. I mean, what I spent on some of this shit, but that's my thing. That's my thing. Some people like to go trophy, killing tigers in Kenya and this and that, and having. I mean, that's what it is. But when I started, like, when I did my first record, it blew up so much. It was just like, because it was like. There was a filtered mix. I was like, had that Dr. Love, like that whole filtered disco thing. That was side B, the swing shift mix. There was a circuit mix that was like the gay thing. And then it got like, the acapella was like in everybody's, like, you name the person, English, especially the English. The English were like, oh. I'll go to England and they'll be like bowing down. It was like that acapella was like in everybody's back. Nick Fanciulli, Denny Rapp, Denny Howells, and then it was like taken by like the gays had that one mix, and then the straights had that swing set, like the handbag house mix.
Yeah.
It's all in one cluster, and then they edited the vocals the other way, so it's like more bitchy and stuff. But then Deaky and the Europeans, you know, when they licensed it, they have the acapella, right? So then it went to Corbin Dalek and Mr. You know, that's why that Joy House was just during lockdown. I was getting all these mixes from like Northern Europe. I'm like, Northern Europe. I'm like, the fuck? It's like, what's this all about? Because like, you know, the gays have like taken it and done whatever they're going to do with it. Like make, you know, they get like two cans and throw them together and enjoy it and at like 900 beats per minute. But it's like, you know, like even Junior Boys Own stole it, the acapella.
Really?
Everybody.
What acapella was this?
Tunes, all those.
What acapella was this?
Tonight's, okay, everyone, we're going to start your engines. Tonight's proceedings will continue in the following fashion. This side and that side. Your side may not be the right side. And it goes like this. You to the right, you to the left. Can you move? Marcello. Danny took Marcello because it's too regional. Please assist me in rounding up the cattle. Not you, perhaps you, and never you. We are liking what is appearing in this corner. Yes, over here with the large hairdos. Yes. Fierceness is always welcome. These are role models. Step to your right. You gentlemen, please. You to the right, not to the left. You're right. Our context does not include any of the following. Those aren't pants. That's a newspaper. We want layering. Spilled milk on the face will not be considered makeup this evening. We want the mustache, perhaps. However, stop like that. Leave it for your grunge fest. And you were the one they're talking about. Please, with that complexion, darling, don't bother us right now. Next. 95 South, darling. And it was like, in 95 South, Danny took out like the things that didn't make sense. Like, you know, Eric Murillo used to see me and go, 95 South. The first winter music conference that it was out, that people were touring with it, I had like people looking for me, like somebody was just looking through. I'm like, who? So like this, you know, Armand Van Helden and this one. I was like, what? And I remember seeing Eric Murillo with Ani Fierce, who ran Subliminal with him. And I know him from Strictly because I was on Rivalicious and Strictly as well. But it was like, they're like, dude, do you know how big this is going to be, this record? And it's still to this day in people's back. It's insane. From that school, it's like, it like immediately like gets the room going. Like, and people have different takes on like Angel Mariah used to play backwards.
Yeah.
My dream was to work with him, and he passed away a week before we were supposed to work. Oh. I love that like hot and spicy stuff. I just love it. He brought me to Stereo at the opening, actually. The day I graduated from, a week before I actually kind of snuck out. We were like high as kites in Manhattan, and we just drove to Canada. Bam, Stereo. 3 days open. It was like
Montreal. Great.
But he used to play it backwards, and it was like Russian. I'm like, what's that Russian acapella? He's like, that's you. I was like, New Yorkers love to play things backwards. It's a thing. Yeah. Like Mariah Carey, like Dream Lover. It's a thing. But it was weird. It's just, and then, you know, from the imports, and, you know, there was this one mix. So the Deaky, there was this Mr. Sam live at Nova from Belgium. I guess it was the club Nova. He did it live. It has an I Feel Love It. That's much more techy.
Yeah.
That one, Danny went berserk for it. And I had one copy, and I gave it to him, and he actually discovered, as usual, he was like years later, he was like, I like that record you gave me. I'm like, I gave it to you years ago, like a long time ago. Like I gave him like a Moonraker acapella that you hear Foremost Poets.
Yeah.
Everybody used to give me, I had white labels to everything. Yeah. I was more connected to DJs. It was so weird. It was like, it was with that Moonraker. I'm like, dude, that was years ago. He started playing it, and, you know, back then it was like, if he played something, forget it. It was like, you're set. And we were best friends. I was like, you playing things because you were friends.
Yeah.
If anything, he put you on the further burner.
Yeah.
But he loved it so much that it was like, and all, you know, New York, everybody else was playing that domestic mix. He was just like, he's an import guy. I am too, kind of. He likes the quality and this and that. It was so deep, that record, but he said that it needs an edit. It took him a year. He actually did it another package. 2001, an entire package. I think he played that record once at the Old Space. Once, his mix. Because, you know, sometimes people are, he's gotten better at it because it's like, girl, you know, it's like music is the answer. He never even played that. I mean, he played like, you know, acapellas and special mixes, but that's his forte. I mean,
it was never about that back in the day, though. It was never.
What?
It was never about that back in the day. It was never about like playing.
Yeah, like you know, like the John Summitization of mankind, like I'm gonna come to Mount Some. It's like I'm the Matterhorn. I'm sitting on top of the. I'm like, dude, it's like who died and made you? You're fucking. It's like who died and made you? Like you know, Mother Kibble.
Well, I think what's happened is DJs, some DJs, or the DJ culture from the EDM culture turned DJs into rock stars. And then
a lot of those EDM guys are really nice. Because I worked at Mansion for 12 years, and we started everybody. And
yeah.
I wasn't even doing that. Like we would have like you know certain people like you know do their deep set, you know, come over and do it for after hours. But like you know,
it's changed. It's changed a lot in the last like.
Oh, I know. I think it's like just like you know, drop me off on the next planet, and you know, it's like. I'll fend for my. It's like I'm like when I have to hear let the music play. It's like I'm like I can't. I don't want to hear any Shannon. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not into freestyle. I like house. I like classics. I like new wave. I'm more into new wave and rock and like that synth-ish. I live for it.
Yeah.
There's so much good, and it still sounds so good. Vicious Pink, Peter Murphy. I mean, he performed at Space for my birthday like 2 years ago. Downstairs in the ground.
Wow.
It's a concert venue.
Yeah.
I love him. And it was such a scene because it was like, besides the colonoscopy bags of all the people, because we had a really big the new wave scene here between the gays and the Hispanics. They were all like, you know, the whole thing about that whole new wave thing was like the Cure were just there. They turned it out. I heard. Everybody I see turns out except Berlin. She was a mess. We have them all. We used to have them before COVID at the ground a lot more. And it was like, Peter Murphy was like, he couldn't go through the front door. I was wondering why I was like being asked all these doctor clients' phone numbers. It's like, he evidently has like, you know, an Oxycontin. He had like issues with his prescription. I'm like, couldn't go through the front door because all his fans already know he wants shit and they'll like get acknowledgement. You know, these are all like once upon a time dark outcast golf kids.
Of course.
Who are like 85 years old with a colonoscopy bag and a walker and still featuring, you know, hearing about, you know, indigo eyes. Like he was insane. He was so good. Yeah. I love seeing like that people like that shine. It's like I went to see Billy Idol like about a month ago. And I don't go to concerts here pretty much because everyone's like, oh, there they are, it's baby. But I went to St. Augustine. He was good.
Yeah.
He was on point. I mean, those people were like, you know, they went through a lot of shit. If they're here, then they're here for a reason. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
I heard Susie was really good in LA. Gary Newman. I mean, those people were. You know, everyone just thought they had like dead makeup on and were like they're like dun, 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 with a riff, you know. I remember Andy Bell, he lived, and Mark Almond is incredible. We used to go to heaven together.
Yeah. He
would like loved all the house and stuff like that. People thought he was so dark and he's like dying to hear like the most la-la, you know. Kylie Minogue remix or something, you know, or whatever, you know, Shirley and Pepsi or whatever the hell they were. They love all that. They love all that. It's a camp. Yeah. Then they'll go do One Night in Istanbul, like, you know, as a theme on an album.
Yeah.
Saying the English are the best with music, though, I think. One night I used to run the VIP tour because when I was at Space, I was at 7 clubs a week.
Yeah.
So I would go there from 4 to 7, and I did the VIP tour, and we were sold out, and I would leave at 7. Damn, those are just like 17 hours, 200 hours. You know, now it's like 4 nights a week, and it's a lot. But it was, you know, different times. One night I was at the door, and I was talking. People were always asking me, "You must see a lot of fucked up shit." I really don't, because I'm like a duck. I'm like one of those swans in Hyde Park Corner. I mean, I repel a lot.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in like people that aren't like that are like helpless or need help, or a man screaming at a woman on Easter Sunday, shit like that. There was a live shark. A guy who came with a live shark during the hurricane was for sale.
Jesus.
A live shark to sell. Her shark. I'll never forget.
Where was that at Space?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I want to talk about Space.
But one night, let me tell you who I met.
Okay, tell me.
I forgot his name, but we started talking. I was like, he was very dignified, you know, very like, you know, rocker, you know, chic look. And we were talking, and he was like, you know, yeah. Oh, you're English, yeah. Like, my band is in. What band? He's like, I'm in Public Image. I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
And guess who his ex-wife was? Mena Cherry.
I don't know who that is.
What?
I don't know.
Oh my God! I need to take away your. It's like Queen Mother or Charles. Could you please assist me and take away Wilson?
What was her name? Mama Chan.
Mena Cherry. She was she did that song Man Child, Buffalo Stance. She was huge. Her dad, I think she's mixed race. I think she's half Swedish, half black.
Yeah, Mena Cherry. Born 1964, Swedish singer, songwriter, rapper.
But she's more English. She was like huge in that like, you know, Brixton, like, you know, like Banji, like, you know, hanging out in the Buffalo Stand. It was like very like, you know, New York thug.
Wow.
Fighting, you know.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
The English always do it better than the Americans do.
Americans,
they want to be thuggy, they'll be thuggy.
Americans just turn it into money.
Americans she's good. But public image, you know public image, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was like, literally, like, I have to post a picture of it. I was like, oh, he's like, you know what? I'm like, oh my God, this is not a love song. It's like my theme song. And I spent like $200 to get like the perfect import copy.
Wow.
Rise, all that stuff. Johnny Ron, I could do without because he's like, he's a Nazi.
Yeah.
A lot of them are. I mean, Morrissey, I had sex with Morrissey one night. He's like a total, I mean, I imagine him to just be like a militant fascist. I mean, it happens, you know, it's like, right, you know, communists in Italy are wearing Valentino, and you know, we're into art. You know, all of our workers are. Yeah, we have a Valentino at a parade for communism. Really?
Yeah.
It was just as an American, I couldn't figure it out.
Well, look at who designed all of the Nazis' uniforms?
I don't know.
Was that
I could have done it in a period of my life.
Was that Hugo Boss?
Was it? No.
Who designed?
No, he was no. With a name like that, it could have been like
Nazi uniforms.
I do know that the Viennese paved the streets red for Hitler. I mean, they're hardcore. I love them to death. They're great people because Peter Roth was a good friend of mine, and Lula, she's a big vocalist as well.
I can't spell. I've got to find this out because
I think it would be more like I know the architect was Albert Speer.
Was it?
Yeah. I love fascist architecture.
Yeah, it was Hugo Boss.
Was it?
Yeah, Hugo Boss, the German designer.
Just fell off the turnip truck.
Hugo Boss, the German designer, joined the Nazi Party in 1931. Hitler became to power in 1933. I thought they would have gotten
somebody better than that. I mean, I went to Dolce & Gabbana to dress Nazi. I looked fierce. I was like, I could go get you some coats from the Third Reich. I used to go in Vienna right to the Third Reich. All those German places. I was in Europe in the 80s. I lived for all that heavy coat, you know, like winter coat. I have more winter coats than you do, I'm sure.
You live in the wrong place for a winter coat.
I still feature it.
Just sweat. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, Hugo Boss. Because I remember...
Want to see the first interest? Was this the first one? Or is this... Yeah, it is. Monday. First ticket to get into space. I have a stack of them there.
Who is playing?
First ticket.
Wow. Okay, so let's
this is a VIP card for groups at the parties you hear about that were like Laurent Garnier, Carl Cox. I was taking care of their parents on the patio, rolling my face off in the freezing cold. It was always on those cold nights. One night I was going. I'm not big though, but it was like I have a picture of that. It was just like I was taking care of everybody, all the who's who of England's this label, that label. All their parents would come.
Yeah.
And I'd put them in a corner and entertain them. It was hilarious. And then I'd hear like, you know, Danny playing like Kim Maisel or whatever. All my classes, I would run.
Tell me about space. Talk to me. How did space happen for you? Like, what's your involvement with space as well from the get go and to nowadays?
I mean, people see me as like a face of it. You know, it's changed a lot. It's like, you know, turned into like another animal. It's like a whole other enchilada. It's had 3 different tenures. I'll call them of ownership and what have you. There was the original. That was like it was a space that my best friend Johnny Aguirre, whose family developed Casa de Campo in La Romana, a very wealthy family. I did all his architecture there. He had a space over on Brickell first, but the beach was thriving then.
Yeah.
So it was like they tried to have these like communal dinners. I got thrown pasta in my face for being involved with them, and I wasn't even an owner. I was just like I was just like there.
Yeah.
My best friend's owning a club, and his partner was playing. Then Lewis went over to Space used to be further east.
Okay.
Than it is now. I forgot the address, but they knocked it down. The original owner put all the toilets full of cement. He was hardcore. He's a good friend of mine. I haven't talked to him in a hot minute, but we grew up together. I knew he hung around all these gay, club. I don't know what was going on, but whatever. He liked the music. He was a DJ as well. His family they came here very poor. His dad was a bellman at the Fontainebleau when he got here. A Guayabera, very high-end Guayabera, the Cuban shirts.
Yeah.
She got them. And did very well. He just was like always with Bob Harris, the owner of all the big establishments. Like I was like 14. And they would steal my wallet we would be at pools during the day, and they would like, "You're not 19, you're 14." And I'm like, "How do you know?" I was like, "We went into the locker and got your ID." They were New Yorkers. They knew that they were like. I'd be hidden in the freezer when I was a kid. I was like blonde, blue eyed. I was like, yeah, great. Put him in the back of a fish tank, and he'll definitely be of use. But it wasn't like that. I mean, I just went for the music really. But then he opened that, and it slowly, and they brought me the floor plans pretty much. And said, who the fuck should play this goddamn place? And Danny's career though, right? Danny was like going out to Crisco, Larry Levan, had the whole Chicago Chuck, the whole R&B, because he knows about so much music. He started here with such a huge success. He did an after hours here down in South Miami, and had like Rick Astley. I mean, they shook Liz Torres and like Rick Astley. It's like, who the fuck, right? It's like Alicia Bridges. I love the nightlife with like I don't know, Sybil Jeffries or. I have all the comp cards. He gives me all that shit. I have Sweet Pussy Pauline, worked this pussy. I have her comp sheet. Imagine. Candy J. Eartha Kitt. But like that was like he had a major following. It was huge. Yeah. But he was also very like new waveish, because like Miami had like a really great new wave club. So like the Latins and the gays like love to go that new wave thing. And then it's like the gay club, the Grace Jones. And the gay music was good then. It's not like just like Tin Can Alley now that it's like this crap. It's so embarrassing. So I said, like, the only person that can really play this is Danny. Right? He was living in New York because he got big and he went to New York because he was like doing these like small gigs before he got here. Then he blew up here. He was getting all these Right Said Fred. Yeah. I'm Too Sexy. I have something like he did some wild stuff. So cool. Our sister, Shakespeare's sister. Okay. Well, you give me, you really break my heart. It was kind of like on the, like want to be golf. It was good. It was a good record. I like that. Chop chop. He did a lot of weird stuff too. Then he went to New York, and it was like Twilo, and I don't know if it was Twilo yet, but it was like Seattle. On the way up. Okay. So the first ones, if I could tell you how good they were. There are supposedly recordings. He was so organized and programmed. It was like he had like narration through the whole thing of like people he liked their acapellas. I have all the acapellas. Like it was like, oh, happy birthday, Roxy. You know that Roxy, that trans person that does not Roxy the club, Roxy, and Ride Committee. Yeah. Get her, and he had her doing like, oh my God, she fell in the pool. Like always like, or like New Year's Eve, he'd have like the countdown like 3 times at like 12 in the afternoon, 4 in the afternoon. It was so fucking twisted. He didn't even do drugs. I'm like, bitch, you better stop right now because I feel like I'm like the only public face. And I was just like a booth, like a little booth rat kind of thing. I wasn't even working there. I was kind of like responsible for like, not getting deep dish thrown out or this one arrested or DJ Vibe because, they're away from their home country and they're fiddling with this. And I don't know, it was all kinds of shit. I'll be like, I do the cops. I'd be like, that's not a good idea to arrest like, that prominent DJ, right now. It's like, this is business. And They were just insane. I can't even tell you. It was like, it opened like, you know, the Blue Room, and then it was like there was this. I think 2001. It was like, oh my god. It was just like everybody was there. It was like everybody whose records were being featured were there.
Yeah.
It was like, you know, going crazy. I've never even seen John Summit dance. Have you? I've never even met him.
Yeah, I have.
But I had the vocals of Revolution redone for him. Not the fact they didn't do it. I had Tom Steffen call Victoria from. She was with Soul to Soul, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, Tom, I'm hearing this record a lot. Rob DeStefano doesn't answer the phone. Tribal, Twisted, good luck. Everyone wants to do beats all over their body over this and that. Just like singing like his gym instructor did. Beats all over my body. That was his gym instructor. You know Super Chumbo's work, right?
Yeah.
He's from the UK. He lives in the UK.
Yeah.
He was discovered in Toronto. I guess Toronto. I shouldn't be saying this, but he was lovers with Neil Tennant from Pet Shop Boys.
Yep.
And he's a pretty young boy from Buffalo. He went to film school. He's very talented. He's a good friend of mine. I think he's one of the most solid DJs. You know, that whole like Twisted thing, he was best friends with Rob. It's like, that didn't get you really far, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He shot on everybody. It's like, I remember I had a really big record duet with Michael T. Diamond, but he had sampled LL Cool J and Belinda Carlisle, and we got the beat and jingling, Hell's Bells, lawsuit, label closed, bam.
Done.
Danny was like, please don't ever put the Be Yourself acapella out. First compilation you guys after it folds is like, Be Yourself, the first thing. Just spiteful. I mean, it's like, he's not going to hear this, but whatever. It's like, what's the point of that? It's like, he had such a good, you know, Twisted and Trouble did a lot of good stuff. But he was a lot. I mean, I put out a lot of stuff on both labels. I'm down on Tribal, but on Twisted, it was like, God, oh, how cute. I did a party with him in Montreal, and somebody shit in the DJ booth.
Jesus.
I'll never forget. It was Paris Hilton hosting, and with myself, and they stole my suitcase, and Paris Hilton kept the stores open for me and had an expense account. She's like, "You're not here for your clothes." Back then, I was like, I am now. I was like, yeah, a lot. Well, actually, it was like custom tearing me, but it was pretty major. But my bag was gone.
Yeah.
It was just, I'm like, I might as well just like go have poutine and finger myself. And it's like, you know, she's like, that store's open. It was downtown Montreal. I've had so much good time. I love Canada.
Canada's great.
We had so much fun. It was like, oh, Toronto. I would do a gay night and then a straight night. And I had my own night at Stereo for was it 4 months, 5 months?
Yeah.
Then it was just too much to go back and forth. There's the Alan T experience, and it was Friday nights, and I loved it. Anything we did, it was packed with all the right people. Then the Village went. It's just like everywhere. Everybody has their sob story. It's like, you know, let me get my violin out. So,
yeah. I only recently just played there, like 3-4 months ago.
Yeah, you'd be good there. I would
for
see
the first time, and it was amazing.
But I remember doing the closing of Government. Oh my God, there's pictures.
Yeah.
It was like 6,000 gay men. That place was so huge, and that's when that whatever track I did with Ralph Falcone came out.
Yeah.
Because that's me. That whatever you say. It's Alex, his girlfriend, and me. But I bring the thing to life. She's just like this pretty girl in the dark smoking a joint. But Canada's a lot of fun. They're good people. I mean, Montreal, I had so much. It would be like we would party from like Thursday to like, then I go to the leather shop, do my custom orders, have my poutine, do a bump or sex. It was so sexual. It was like 37 bathhouses. Insane. I mean, I went to one bathhouse with the floor fell in. That was my luck.
Jeez.
It was very like, you know, that like, you know, North. They had like so many different mixed cultures. I like that. A good friend of mine is like one of
the floor fell in the bathhouse.
4, 5, 6. The floor fell in. I wound up in the middle of a 3-way. My friend's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "Bitch, I'm on the side of the floor below." It's like caving in. It's like this wood architecture sucks, girl.
Oh, jeez.
Like, I used to love the below degree weather because I'd be like walking from Stereo like blizzard. She's like, "Aren't you cold?" I'm like, "I have more winter clothing on than you do."
This is so good. Okay, so let's go back to space and how it is now compared to what it was and how it's evolved.
It's really the same form. It's like, you know, the boys are. Oh, look, I have this one. No, I have all my CDs personalized. Isn't that creepy?
Of course you do.
It's like a Hallmark moment. They're like, oh, your boyfriend. I'm like, I don't want lesbians. Oh, I have like love letters written on things. We're like, God, you have all these love letters on the first copy of Future. It was like, girl, it's like not about that. I'm a fan. But anyway, so it was open one night a week. The location had the blue room and it had patio. It was on the first floor. I remember once, oh my God, I went to get like this STD check. I wasn't feeling well. And the rapper. And Louis was a good friend of mine, and so was Ivano, so was Cedric. And I was already pretty popular. I was working all the clubs. And there was nobody at the door because they sometimes close the door and just like the party went on.
Yeah.
I just crawled over the fucking wood fence. I grabbed a mop and then I just slid down the mop, and they all saw me doing it, and they're like, I'm like wearing this like Mew Mew jumper or something. They're like, I thought you were going to the doctor. I'm like, yeah, bitch, I'm negative. I'm good. It's time to party. But it was like very hot, very like, it was like, the beginning of all like the little, the South American girls and the boob jobs and the French and but it was Ivano, they used to call it Ivano. Oh, I did. I even did an a cappella with Loco Dice and Cedric Gervais years ago, before Loco Dice was even, he was hip hop. He was Timo Masa's record boy. But
it's me, my camera's gone.
Hello, is it me you're looking for? But it was like, it was so good because Danny would like come and all, Armand Van Buren, I could show you the flyer. I have them right here in front of me. My God, you want to see how it was like, Tiesto and George Acosta was a resident, Edgar V, Oscar. It was like, I have Arena at the Palladium, which is you want to see a funny thing? A segue. I'm going to put this in the VIP, in the green room at Space. It's in 1986 Miami headline. My mom was obsessed with crack because my little brother was a true crackhead. That's just like a disco crackhead.
Yeah.
South Florida's cocaine toll skyrockets, and look at the boats in Kennedy Park and Coconut Grove.
Lift it up. I can't see it.
It's a jolly appraisal of the crack epidemic. 1986. It's insane. But I can show you right here. I put it here. So, I mean, this is like, I was doing these, this is like a flyer from the old Space.
Oh, wow.
I did these during lockdown. These are all, that party was the first one, I think. The flyers were fucking insane. Some of these are Park West. It's like, I did these collages during that's mansion. I put them all together because I have all the flyers here. I collected flyers. We all collected flyers, right?
Yeah. Flyers used to be
during lockdown. I was putting these all together. And it became like, I made like $100,000 during lockdown doing that.
Really?
All the Guidos in New York, the subliminals, they went to vinyl, Danny's vinyl, Twilo.
Yeah.
It was like, New York had like still a lot of stuff, tunnel. There's a lot of paper always when you left the club, right? You came home with some people protected them, some people, I would get like a stack of them. Look at this one. This is the best one. I have all of them, but Danny had some good ones at Space. There's some really good ones. There's this one, there's another one, but this is a really good one.
Lift it up. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
But he always had, watch me rip it in half. This is a, what rig. What is that? Oh, so this is, all right, so there's already Be Yourselfing. This is Monday, March 25th. So that was a concert. That was a conference party. Twisted.
Yeah.
Twisted was just a head. Nobody ever did anything. But he didn't. It was just like, get little boys and listen to the acapellas all day. Smoke pot, a lot of pot. But anyway, so that was like the terrace, like the inward room, like the blue room was like the kind of trancey. They called it transcendent. I guess it's just like Danny played transcendent slowed down. It was like house. So, and the formula was pretty much developed there. Then they had to move for some reason or another, and he got a warehouse where we are now.
Mm.
It was a warehouse, and he always had a vision. He was always great with it. I mean, it's like, you know, it's the same matrix pretty much. It's just, you know, entries and that.
Different
it's
location.
just, you know, yoga and peace, love, and papaya juice. And if we're up for 2 days, then the matcha's really working. And, you know what I'm saying? You know, it's all good. Back then, it was like people like, you know, like I like fierce. My friend Monica, rest in peace. She was a fierce tranny. She'd go there on to a type of G, tits out there. She looked like fucking Bridget Bardot. She was gorgeous. Tits flying, all these guidos. You know, all these, like, you know. It was still a little bit more like, you know, not rat shit, but like, you know, it was like more like, you know,
open.
It wasn't South American. It was more like Hispanic, like, you know, like local.
Yeah.
They call it acera. It's like more like, you know, Cuban. And there was even a thread on Cool Junkie. I should try to dig them up. I should, like, Space Toes. It was like, back then we had a lot of message where like New York had Rob Fernandez, rest in peace, Rob Promotions. D-Tourism was for Danny's crew. Here it was Club Planet and Cool Junkie. And they had a thread, like Space Toes.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw some toes that were fierce. Like, even like what, 5 years ago, like black, like those, like, you know, like some of your people live for the English, but some of those like Europeans are like, you know, we went to the factory and fell asleep on the lounge chair after a pint of ale, and then we had like 14 Jaegers and we were above with something pink, or it wasn't even out then, but just like we did something, and then I almost drowned. They revived me. I fell asleep in the sand, and my flip flops were on, and my toes are tan now. The English cracked me up when they're
literally the minute they see sun.
You guys are, but the Germans are fierce.
Yeah.
The Germans, when they travel, if they're like on a budget, they can be fierce. Usually, that's where the dead German tourists came from. There's a group here called the Dead German Tourists, because they would always look at like the map and go like, it's only $60, like all the way like 25 blocks west. I'm like, yeah, honey, it's cleaned up a lot here, but it used to be really funky.
Yeah.
Miami got funky for a really
for a long time.
Chicken heads.
Yeah.
Like, you know, people give a blowjob or fuck for 25 cents. I mean, it's famous. Chicken heads are famous. Yeah. It's a thing. You walk out of space, you see cocks everywhere now. Anyway,
yeah.
Those roosters are everywhere. You see those TikToks of like these bitches coming out. The thigh food, West Village. You don't see this in West Village. Like, girl, you've never had more cock in your life. It's like, be happy, girl. You should be very excited. There's so many TikToks with like girls that are like coming out of 11 space. It's like, they're like, you had a friend of mine yesterday. Like, Sunday night was insanely packed. It was, I don't know what was in the water, but it was like really, really good. But everyone was like sending me pictures of like the roosters. I'm like, girl, I don't need any pictures of cocks. Relax. But you've seen them, right? The roosters when you go out. Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. It's a special space.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Miami. I can't wait to have you on a good night. Last time it was like that night. Just sometimes it's like, you know, it's not in the galaxy. It's like everyone was like pushing and shit. It's like
last time I played was a weird time.
If
weird. I'm totally honest, and we didn't really.
Hey, when things are weird, they're weird. You know, it's like it's.
We didn't. I'll be honest. Like, we didn't really want to do the show, but we kind of got persuaded by them.
It happens.
And we did it.
You got to man up and do. I mean, so many times I'll be like, I did a gay pride in San Francisco a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Not only was I fucking freaked out about that place, but it was like, I went to smoke a cigarette in the back of the building, and it was like a car wrapped around a tree. San Francisco was so weird. It was like drugs everywhere. I'm like, Miami is like crack central, but I've never seen anybody doing that.
Dude, San Francisco is on another level right now. San Francisco is just.
Oh my God! It was like, I mean, I'm no prude, honey, and I've done, seen, had it, smelt it, fingered it, fisted it. I mean, I've done it all, honey. I mean, I even have a robot dog. It pees and everything for me. It's like a Jeff Koons, but it pees. It'll pee. It's a yellow light.
That's so good.
I'm not into dogs, but it's just like, you know, I was coming at Ted Patterson's party at that Phoenix hotel, and like, you know, Robin S was there. I was like, oh, great, ruin my night. No, I can't. You don't play Show Me Love, do you?
No.
Thank God. Yeah, no, you don't. But it was like These guys like the whole meth, like the butane and which pipe should I use? I'm like, dude, you have all those and you're still using pieces of tinfoil against the wind. I'm like, I can't with you guys. There's like a washing machine plugged in and a tapestry and a wicker basket. I'm like, I'm not sure who's watching the gay pride parade or who's home. It's like a lot, but like 30 people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's crazy.
It's a lot. But look, this is a concert I went to in '85. Can you believe this?
Wow, the Clash.
Free. A guy thought I was cute at the airport, gave me a ticket. First time in Athens. They all just had 12 inches. The Clash, Nina Hagen, The Cure, Talk Talk, Telephone. The Stranglers are my favorite. And Depression.
I just bought Nevermind the Buzzcocks vinyl, limited edition, green.
I bought it on Kings Road too, I think.
Yeah, limited edition green vinyl, and I was listening to it the other day. It's so fucking
good. I like Pretty Bacon. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Pretty Bacon. It's like, I like Johnny Rotten too, but it's like, I was walking through the village when Sid jumped.
Wow.
Chelsea Hotel. He died right in front of El Quijote. El Quijote.
Yeah.
The Chelsea Hotel, like Larry Rivers lived there. A lot of people live there. Everywhere. They had the Tar Beach. I used to go to the Tar Beach and just pick up tricks. It's like all famous. It's like all the Warhol models and the Edie Sedgwick, all the crazies. And the building had a lot of literary people, but Richard Bernstein, who was the artist, he's getting a lot of acclaim right now. He did the cover of every Interview magazine. He did all the Grace Jones albums. Cyndi Lauper, since it was her birthday.
Wow.
He did. I just happen to have I have Grace Jones albums laying around my house. She's the best. I just went to see her. He did all these.
Wow.
And he did every cover of Interview. He was insane. You know how hard that was? It's like if you look at the events in these things, this was my Yelp, my go-to, this is my booking.com. Every night of the week. It was just like, quality, look at this. This is what it's like store, look at this. The pictures, the sexiness. It's like,
yeah, we don't do that anymore.
No, look how thick it is. It's like,
there's no quality. There's
at OnlyFans, they look at this thickness and say, God, you should be making $1,500 a week. I'm like, honey, if anybody pays you for what you have to offer, I can't. Some of these kids are,
yeah, man.
But dude, so you live in? You're still living in London?
I live near Bristol. I live in the countryside near Bristol.
Bristol's fierce. It's so working class. I loved it.
Yeah.
I have pictures from that to send you.
But I also live in Detroit as well. So,
you told me that.
Yeah. So
I did a gay party there. I was like 4 a.m. I was light a joint. I was at the Cadillac, S6 Cadillac. But a huge one.
Yeah,
I did Motorball.
Yeah.
Motorball. I did events at the bowling alley, at Marble Bar. I actually performed. My second record was called Jonesing. The follow-up to The Door was called Jonesing.
Yeah.
It was all about like Grace Jones, Barnaby Jones, Quincy Jones. It was like a whole thing. Everybody's dad I mentioned in the song, by the way, but except Susan Lucci. But it was that was a big Danny record. He actually played that and it wrote about it he was like, you never knew when you were going to perform with him. I was ready to go early on. I go home and had sex, came back to the club to get my bag out of the booth. He's like, are you ready to perform? I'm like, bitch, no. It was like, everyone was there. Rolling Stone wrote about it.
Wow.
It was like wearing flip-flops and underwear, I think stained underwear. And it was like classic Danny moment. It was just insane. It was David Lee Roth on the cover of the Rolling Stone. I have the article, but it was just like, oh my God.
Amazing. Dude, we've got
Bristol's fierce.
Yeah, Bristol's fun. Bristol's really
Detroit. So anyway, I was at the Cadillac Hotel. There's like one convenience store all down. It's like that little one on the corner. It's like couldn't find a match. It was like I think I saw Carl Craig and some blonde promoter from Brooklyn. Like all people at 4:30 morning. The only 2 people on the street. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
But I performed at Marble Bar when it was the Eagle.
Okay.
During a blizzard, and the neighborhood was like against them because it was this like raunchy leather bar. I remember I stayed near the airport, and the limo took me to the club. It was like there was like this tunnel because everybody was like throwing shit and everything. I went into the club, performed. It was like dripping sweat, naked man, insane funk, and performed and went home.
Yeah.
Bam, out the door.
Easy.
It was, but I was like, I've been here before. Like this was the Eagle.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, that was 96 or something. Yeah, 96. 97.
dude, we're gonna have to wrap this up.
Part two.
We've done an hour and a half, and I feel like we could go on for another 4 hours. But dude, thank you so much for this. I've really, really enjoyed this, and I've loved to
But you're English. You like color.
I love it, man. It's been amazing.
It's like the black girl. Yeah. You guys like the opposites attract. I don't do anybody white. And it's like keep it. It's gotta be the opposite.
Yeah,
definitely. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can do something original.
Yeah, let's
I do all kinds of things. I was just too I was in the studio like last week, and I was like really spitting. I'm working with these guys from All Day I Dream that aren't doing that anymore. But it's like this dubstep kid who's like such a good editor.
Yeah.
I like I like the underdogs. Like when AIM Instant Messenger was around, I had all the famous, I had like upcoming, hot, people I knew that had talent. I heard some white label it. Bam, 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 bam. I was saying acapellas. That's how I did a lot of work.
Let's make some music, man. I'd absolutely love that.
Let's do it.
I'd love that.
We'll do like nothing too like melodic.
No.
Make it hard like.
Yeah, we'll go hard.
But no, your record sounds so fresh. It's like, I love that part.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Everybody's hammering it. It's
yeah.
There's people. Carlos Banaco, he was really hot back in the day.
Yeah, a lot of people play that.
The stereo people, choose on.
Yeah, man.
Everybody, you go up. What goes up has to come down. You know how it is.
You know it, man.
When you're here again,
dude. Not too sure. I'm not too sure when I'm in Miami. Like literally, after the last party, we haven't got anything booked.
It's not that.
I think
it's that right now. There's like that little everybody's like, fasten your seatbelts with the afterlife show.
Well, I also just don't play generic remix tech house.
Thank God.
Yeah. So that's
if I hear that, if you take your broom, I have a heart attack. What you waiting for? Horrible shit. It's like, guys, who plays Show Me Love anymore either? It's like, guys, really?
Yeah.
Even from Swedish House Company.
It's definitely interesting.
Love you, dude.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Keep safe.
I hope it wasn't too much.
No, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Where's this going to be on?
Let me just stop recording and I'll tell you. And that's a wrap. Big love to everybody for listening. That was an absolute amazing episode. Thank you for Alan for coming on. Please share it. Please subscribe. See you next time.